We were hoping that we'd catch a few mud crabs for dinner on this camping trip, but something much more interesting turned up in our crab pot. A really decent sized eel. Now, I've eaten eel many times while living in Japan. It doesn't get much better than when it's grilled. That's why I decided to try my hand at building a Dakota fire pit. Not only would it provide the perfect grilling platform, but it would also handle the high wind conditions that we were experiencing that day. The breakdown of a Dakota fire pit is pretty simple. Looking at it from above, it consists of two holes dug side by side that are connected by an underground tunnel. The larger hole, pictured here on the left, will be the fire pit, so you'll want to make that roughly 1 foot in diameter and 1 foot deep, but don't be too precious about exact measurements. The smaller hole, pictured on the right, will become your air intake tunnel and should be dug about 1 foot away on the windward side of the main pit. Make it about half the diameter of the larger hole. Because of the digging involved with a Dakota fire pit, it's a lot more work than a conventional campfire, but there are some really big payoffs that I'll share with you later in the tutorial. Here I'm using a small military shovel to remove the grass and break up the earth below. Once the main hole is completed, it's time to dig the connecting tunnel. Looking at a side profile, it needs to look something like this. Notice that the tunnel has a nice curve rather than a 90-degree corner. This helps with good airflow to the fire. Notice also that the tunnel doesn't connect level with the bottom of the fire pit hole. It enters slightly higher to allow for a nice bed of coals that won't clog the air intake. This is where the hard work comes into full swing, depending on what type of ground you're dealing with. To dig my tunnel, I sharpened the end of a stick to use as a digging tool because the shovel was obviously too wide for the job. Even in this relatively medium-packed soil with no rocks or tree roots, it still took me a good 30 minutes to dig out the tunnel. With all the work involved, this could very well lead you to the question, why would you even bother with a Dakota fire pit? Well, let me help answer that question with some more theory. It's the simplicity of the Dakota fire pit design that makes it both interesting and effective. The air intake tunnel and the below-ground fire are the two fundamental characteristics that are immediately noticeable. It's those same characteristics that give it so many significant advantages over a typical above-ground fire. The tunnel allows air to feed down into the entry, along the tunnel itself, and then up through the pit, fueling the fire with oxygen as it goes. Here are the key reasons a Dakota fire pit outperforms conventional campfires. They are much easier to light and maintain in high wind conditions. They burn fuel more efficiently. In other words, you need less wood to create the same amount of heat. The extra efficiency results in a cleaner burn, producing significantly less smoke. You have more control over the flames and heat that you require. You can literally snuff out the fire in seconds by kicking dirt back into the hole. The flames and the coal pit are both below ground level, resulting in an extremely low light signature compared to that of an above ground fire. You can completely cover your tracks by refilling the hole and covering it with typical ground cover from the area. After completing the tunnel, I removed the bark from some straight green branches to build the grill. On this occasion, I decided to start the fire with steel wool and a 9-volt battery, just as an exercise in alternate fire starting. If you're interested in learning how to do this yourself, there's a link to a full tutorial at the end of this video. So ultimately what I want here is I want these flames to actually die down, and then I'll have a solid pit of hot coals, and I really want the fish to be cooking over the hot coals, not a flame. I have to say I was really impressed with the Dakota fire pit, and I can see why they've been used so widely for thousands of years. It created a fantastic bed of coals, and heat levels were easily managed while cooking over the grill. In addition to that, being able to light that fire in those windy conditions gave it extra merit. I'm not going to deny that there's a lot more work in a fire pit like this compared to a conventional campfire. But when we were sitting there eating those perfectly grilled fresh eel steaks, none of that really seemed to matter anymore. I hope you guys got something out of this tutorial and get a chance to build one of these for yourself sometime. We'd love to hear about it if you do, so let us know via our Facebook, Instagram or Twitter accounts. Thanks for watching.